नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Hare Krishna. Continuing from the 17th chapter entitled The Reward and Punishment of Kali. And here, the section that we are discussing, that Maharaj Parikshit is inquiring from Dharma personified, that who is the person, who is the perpetrator who has caused such suffering to him. We'll be seeing from verse number 23 today. So previously, Maharaj is asking that who is responsible for such a terrible situation. But what we saw that Dharma personified, he did not mention anyone. He considers his own actions to be responsible for his suffering. Apparently, it seems that the person in the form of Kali has been torturing him, but still he is refraining from naming Kali. And we discussed at length that no one is the cause of our suffering. We ourselves are the cause of our suffering. Others can only be the carriers. So after seeing such a mature response, Maharaj Parikshit is able to make out that in the form of bull, this is none other than Dharma personified. So we will continue. आप सबके पास श्रीमद् भागवतम है. You are all having the books in your hand. Kuber, you have the book with you?
कृष्ण प्रभु जी नहीं है प्रभु जी.
नहीं, बुक तो होना चाहिए ना. तो फिर क्या पढ़ोगे और क्या सुनोगे? अक्षय, आपके हाथ में श्रीमद् भागवतम है?
जी नहीं प्रभु जी.
क्या मतलब हुआ? आप क्लास में है और बुक ही नहीं है. Who else is not having the book? You must be having the book in your hand. तो फिर आप क्या कैसे how will you be able to revise? How will you be able to go through what we are studying, and how will you be able to present ever? एक श्रीमद् भागवतम होनी चाहिए. श्रीमद् भागवतम का फर्स्ट कैंटो ले लीजिए. नहीं है आपके पास? नहीं है तो लीजिए.
जी
श्रीमद् भागवतम का एक अलग से फर्स्ट कैंटो मिलता है.
जी.
So this is Parikshit Maharaj answering or responding to what Dharma personified when he denied to name one person responsible for his suffering. So the king said, "Oh, you are in the form of a bull. You know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator." Perpetrator means one who has been causing this trouble, one who is a sinful person, one who has caused this harm to you. So the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious act is also intended for one who identifies that perpetrator. You are none other than the personality of religion. Going forward. Athva dev mayaya nunam gatir agochara chetaso vachasasapi bhutanamiti nishchaya. Thus it is concluded that the Lord's energies are inconceivable. No one can estimate them by mental speculation or by word jugglery. So in this way, Maharaj Parikshit is appreciating what Dharma personified did by denying any one person responsible. A question may be raised as to why devotees should refrain from identifying an actor, although the devotee knows definitely that the Lord is the ultimate doer of everything. Although one knows that the ultimate doer, why should one pose himself as ignorant of the actual performer? So one may know that one who is a devotee that actually the ultimate doer is the Supreme Lord, Sarva Karan Karanam. To answer this doubt, the reply is that the Lord is also not directly responsible for everything is done by his deputed Maya Shakti or material energy. The material energy is always provoking doubts about the supreme authority of the Lord. That is the nature of the three modes, that it always creates doubts. The personality of religion knew perfectly well that nothing can take place without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. And still he was put into doubts by the deluding energy, and thus he refrained from mentioning the Supreme Cause. This doubtfulness was due to the contamination of both Kali and the material energy. The whole atmosphere of age of Kali is magnified by the deluding energy, and the proportion of measurement is inexplicable. So Maharaj Parikshit is saying that because of the influence of the material modes, how Maya Shakti is acting, it is inconceivable. And no one can ever estimate them by mental speculation or by word juggling. So one cannot estimate by one's own concoction, imagination, or even by speculation. Further, tapasaucham daya satyam iti pada krite kritah adharmam asastreyo bhangna smaya sangha madestava. So these four aspects of tapaha, shaucham, daya and satyam, iti pada krite kritaha. So krite is Satyuga. So these four pillars or the four legs, which is in the form of tapa is austerity, saucham is cleanliness, daya is mercy, and satyam is truthfulness. So all these four pillars or four foundations or four legs were very well established in Krita. Krita means in the Satyuga. And because of adharma amshaha, adharma amshesh trayo bhagnaha. Because of irreligion, three parts, three of them, trayo bhagna, three of them, it is samayo sangha madestava. Bhagna means it has been broken. In the age of Satya, truthfulness, your four legs were established by the four principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But it appears that three of your legs are broken due to rampant irreligion in the form of pride, lust for woman, and intoxication. Very important clue is being given here that what causes the degradation and downfall of this society, why 3/4 of the principles of religion have been smashed or broken, Prabhupada is saying in the form of, first is in the form of pride. What does pride does? Who will answer? What is broken by pride? Which of the three leg is broken by pride? Please answer. बताइए. Yes, Purushottam.
तो ऑस्टेरिटी तपा.
Acha. What is lust for woman? What it destroys?
It's cleanliness.
Yes, very good. And what is the third?
Courage, mercy, daya.
Daya by intoxication.
Yes, yes.
So what is the fourth remaining? Is the remaining anga? That still how is surviving? बोलिए पुरुषोत्तम.
Truthfulness.
Yeah, Satya. Satya. The deluding energy or material nature can act upon the living beings proportionately in terms of the living beings falling prey to the deluding attraction of Maya. To that extent, only material nature can act in terms of one who is falling prey. That means one who is very much captivated by Maya. And Prabhupada gives the example of moths are captivated by glaring brightness of light, patanga. And thus they become prey to the fire. Similarly, the deluding energy is always captivating the conditioned souls to become prey to the fire of delusion. And the Vedic scriptures warn the conditioned souls not to become prey to delusion, but to get rid of it. The Vedas warn us to go not to the darkness of ignorance, but to the progressive path of light. What is the verse? The Vedas warn us not to go to the darkness of ignorance, but to the progressive path of light. बोलो, बहुत सरल है, very popular. Yes, Ramya.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. प्रभु जी, असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय.
Tamso ma jyotirgamaya. Very good. Simple. The Lord himself also wants the deluding power of material energy is too power to overcome. But one who completely surrenders into the Lord can easily do so. What is the verse? That the Lord himself also wants the deluding power of material energy is too powerful to overcome. But one who completely surrenders into the Lord can easily do so. No, you have already answered. Let others answer. बोलिए. Which verse is this? Of course, this is from Gita. Only three. Everyone should be knowing this verse. बोलो पुरुषोत्तम.
So it's like mam maya dratya.
पूरा वर्ष बोलना पड़ेगा. मनोराम बोलिए. मनोराम प्रभु, you are hearing?
श्लोक का याद नहीं आ रहा है.
याद करिए. दिस वर्ष अगर याद नहीं आ रहा तो फिर वी आर कैप्टिवेटेड. This verse, how can you forget this verse? बोलिए प्रियंका।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हरे
देवी
कृष्ण।
विषय गुणमयी मम माया दुरतया मामे भय प्रपद्यन्ते माया मेता तरन्ति।
यस, यस। मम माया दुरत्यया. Very difficult. It is insurmountable. Prabhupada translates the word duratya as insurmountable. But mam eva ya prapadyante maya metam tarantite. But to surrender into the lotus feet of the Lord is also not very easy. Such surrender is possible only by persons who have cultured transcendental knowledge based on the principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. These four principles of advanced civilization were a remarkable feature in the age of Satya. In that age, practically every human being was qualified Brahmana of the highest order, and in the spiritual order of life, they were all Paramhamsas, or the topmost men of the renounced order. By cultural standing, the human being were not at all subjected to the deluding energy. Such strong men of character were competent enough to get away from the clutches of Maya. But gradually, as the basic principles of Brahminical culture, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, became curtailed by proportionate development of pride, attachment for women, and intoxication, the path of salvation or the path of transcendental bliss retreated far, far away from the human society. With the progression of the age of Kali, people are becoming very proud, very much attached to women, and increasingly victimized by intoxication. By the influence of the age of Kali, even a pauper is proud of his penny. The women are always dressed in an overly attractive fashion to victimize the minds of men. And men are addicted to drinking wine, smoking, drinking tea, chewing tobacco, etc. All these habits or so-called advancement of civilization are the root cause of all irreligiousalities. And therefore, it is not possible to check corruption, bribery, and nepotism. You cannot check all these evils simply by statutory acts and police vigilance. You have to cure the disease of the mind by the proper medicine, namely advocating the principles of Brahmanical culture or the principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. The modern civilization based on economic development is creating a new situation of poverty and scarcity, with the result of blackmailing the consumers' commodities. If the leaders of the rich man of the society spend 50% of their accumulated wealth mercifully for the misled mass of people and educate them in God consciousness, the knowledge of the Bhagavatam, certainly the age of Kali will be defeated in its attempt to entrap and victimize the conditioned souls. We must always remember that the false pride or too high an estimation of one's own values of life, undue attachment to women or association with them, and intoxication of any kind will divert human civilization from the path of peace. However much the people clamor for peace in the world, the preaching of the Bhagavatam principles will automatically render all men austere, clean both inside and outside, merciful to the suffering, and truthful in daily behavior. That is the way of correcting the flaws of human society, which are very prominently exhibited at the present moment. This is what Srila Prabhupada did. Prabhupada took such a big risk and he accepted so much of troubles and impediments. Why? Because he wanted to spread the Bhagavad Dharma. His mission was to spread the Bhagavad Dharma, to establish the Bhagavad Dharma and to defeat the influence of Kali by spreading Bhagavad Dharma. What it means, one who is following this Brahmanical culture of austerity, cleanliness, truthfulness, and mercy. If we are following these four principles, so Prabhupada has given us the four regulative principles based on these four principles of religion. What is the first? is no meat eating. It symbolizes mercy. Second is no intoxication. That is for cleanliness. Then no gambling or satya, and no illicit sex. So all these 4 regulative principles, if we follow, then we can come to this stage of following these 4 religious principles. And if we follow these 4 religious principles, then the influence of Kali can be minimized in our life. And it is not easy. It is not easy to follow these 4 regulative principles purely in the age of Kali. We need mercy, we need association of devotees, we need constant shelter and protection to be able to follow these principles. I remember many years back, one younger brahmachari, he was making fun that Prabhuji, ये 4 regulative principles तो अपने आप ही follow हो जाएगा. But I now see, I don't see him anywhere. Not easy. We may be grossly following, but subtly we may be failing. So please make full attempt, be very cautious not to break these regulative principles. If we break these regulative principles, Srila Jiva Goswami says, one cannot chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If we are able to keep these principles purely, observe this principle purely, we can happily chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Next verse. Idinam dharma padaste satyam nirvartayet yatha tam jigrakshati adharmoyam anyam anarthena idhita kali. You are now standing on one leg only, which is your truthfulness. And you are somehow or other hobbling along. But quarrel personified Kali, flourishing by deceit, is also trying to destroy that leg. The principle of religion do not stand on some dogmas or man-made formulas, but they stand on 4 primary regulative observance, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. The mass of people must be taught to practice these principles from childhood. Please hear very attentively. Austerity means to accept voluntarily things which may not be very comfortable for the body, but are conducive for spiritual realization. Some examples. Austerity means to accept voluntarily things which may not be very comfortable for the body, but are conducive for spiritual realization. Give some practical examples. What is tapasya? Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Waking up in the Brahma Muhurta, Prabhuji.
Yes. One of the austerity is to wake up in the Brahma Muhurat. Why? Because the body is not inclined. The mind is also not inclined. It wants to take more rest, longer rest. But why do we do that? Because if we do not wake up early, then we cannot practice spirituality. One will not be able to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He may make a show that I am chanting 16 rounds. But his participation or his willingness to chant or his willingness to serve the Supreme will not be there. So we should arrange our day in such a way that in the morning hours, ideally it is by 7, but I don't ask you to do it by 7. but at least maximum by 8 a.m. in the morning, your 16 rounds must be chanted. There should not be any chanting in the evening. If one is chanting in the evening, that means he is not putting practice, he is not making a full effort to chant in the morning. And then his reading, hearing, sharing, and preaching will not get any opportunity, or it will be weak. Prabhupada used to say that gun without gunpowder is useless. It will only create sound. It will have no effect. So very important that we observe these principles. This is what Prabhupada is again and again emphasizing on all this series of verses. Fasting, for example, Prabhupada gives the example of fasting twice or 4 times a month is a sort of austerity which may be voluntarily accepted for spiritual realization. The second aspect is regulating our diet, and not for any other purposes, political or otherwise. Fasting which are meant not for self-realization but for some other purposes are condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 17.5 and 6. Similarly, cleanliness is necessary for both the mind and the body. Simply bodily cleanliness may help to some extent, but cleanliness of the mind is necessary, and it is affected by glorifying the Supreme Lord. No one can cleanse the accumulated mental dust without glorifying the Supreme Lord. A godless civilization cannot cleanse the mind because it has no idea of God. And for the simple reason, people under such a civilization cannot have any good qualifications. However, they may be materially equipped. We have to see things by their resultant action. The resultant action of human civilization in the age of Kali is dissatisfaction. So everyone is anxious to get peace of mind. The peace of mind was complete in the Satya age because of the existence of the above mentioned attributes of the human beings. Gradually, these attributes have diminished in the Treta Yuga to 3/4, in the Dwapar to half, and in the age of Kali to 1/4, which is also gradually diminishing on account of prevailing untruthfulness. By pride, either artificial or real, the resultant action of austerity is spoiled. By too much affection for female association, cleanliness is spoiled, and too much addiction to intoxication, mercy is spoiled. And by too much lying propaganda, truthfulness is spoiled. The revival of Bhagavad Dharma can save human civilization for falling prey to evil to all such descriptions. Iyam cha bhumir bhagavata न्यासिता उरुभार सत नासिता उरुभारु सती श्रीमद अभिस्तत पदान्यासा sarvata krita kautuka. The burden of earth was certainly diminished by the personality of Godhead and by others as well. When he was present as an incarnation, all good was performed because of his auspicious footprints. Who is speaking all this philosophy? Who is giving this discourse? अक्षय कौन बोल रहा है ये सब?
युधिष्ठिर महाराज।
वाह, युधिष्ठिर महाराज। युधिष्ठिर महाराज इस चैप्टर में है क्या? हियरिंग इतना सस्ता नहीं है जितना समझ रहे हैं।
परीक्षित महाराज।
कल से पुस्तक हाथ में होनी चाहिए, समझ गए?
जी।
नहीं तो आपका माइंड आपको यहाँ सुनने नहीं देगा। आप फिजिकली तो प्रेजेंट है, लेकिन मेंटली कहीं और किसी और धरातल पे हो। है, यही बता रहे हैं कि कलयुग में हमारे मन के ऊपर कितना प्रभाव है। माइंड इन 3-4 चीजों में पूरी तरह आसक्त रहता है, जो यहाँ प्रभुपाद जी बार बार बता रहे हैं। शोचती अश्रुकाल साध्वी दुर्भागा इव उज्झिता सती अभ्र अब अभ्रयमान्य निपव्याजा शूद्रा भोक्षयन्ति मामिति। Now she, the chaste one, as if most unfortunate due to being forsaken by the personality of Godhead, laments her future with tears in her eyes. Now she is being ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. For whom is Parikshit Maharaj speaking? This verse? कुबेर, परीक्षित महाराज ये श्लोक किसके लिए बोल रहे हैं? बोलो।
लोअर क्लास मैन हु पोजेस द शूद्र लोग।
हाँ ना, किसकी दशा बखान कर रहे हैं? प्रणव,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, personality of earth in the form of cow.
yeah, Bhumi Devi, that she has tears in her eyes. Why she has tears in her eyes? The reason Maharaj Parikshit is giving, because she is being ruled and enjoyed by lower class men who pose as rulers. The Kshatriyas, or the men who are qualified to protect the sufferers, is meant to rule the state. Untrained lower class men or men without ambition to protect the sufferers cannot be placed on the seat of an administrator. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali, the lower class men without training occupy the post of a ruler by strength of popular votes. And instead of protecting the sufferers, such men create a situation quite intolerable for everyone. Such rulers illegally gratify themselves at the cost of all comforts of the citizens. And thus the chaste Mother Earth cries to see the pitiable condition of her sons, both men and animals. That is the future of the world in the age of Kali, when irreligiosity prevails most prominently. And in the absence of a suitable king to curb irreligious tendencies, educating the people systematically in the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam will clear up the hazy atmosphere of corruption, bribery, blackmail, etc. So Prabhupada is so much pouring out his compassion. His mission is to somehow how to checkmate the influence of Kali is only by propagating the Bhagavad. If the mass of men, if people in general can accept the Bhagavad Dharma, and how it begins? By observing these 4 regulative principles. These 4 principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. Iti dharmam mahim cheva shantitva maharatha nishitam adade khagdam kalaye adharma hetave. Maharaj Parikshit, who could fight 1,000 enemies single-handedly, thus pacified the personality of religion and the earth. Then he took up his sharp sword to kill the personality of Kali who is the cause of all irreligion. As described above, the personality of Kali is he who deliberately commits all kinds of sinful acts which are forbidden in the revealed scripture. This age of Kali will certainly be full of all activities of Kali, but this does not mean that the leaders of society, the executive heads, the learned and intelligent men, or above all the devotees of the Lord should sit down tightly and become callous to the reactions of the age of Kali. In the rainy season, certainly there will be profuse rainfalls, but that does not mean that the men should not take means to protect themselves from the rains. It is a duty of the executive head of state and others to take all necessary actions against the activities of Kali or the persons influenced by the age of Kali. And Maharaj Parikshit is the ideal executive head of the state, for at once he was ready to kill the personality of Kali with his sharp sword. The administrator should not simply pass resolution for anti-corruptional steps. Prabhupada is commenting on the current system that the administrator should not simply pass resolutions for anti-corruptional steps, but they must be ready with sharp swords to kill the persons creating corruptions from the angle of vision of the recognized Shastra. The administrator cannot prevent corrupt activities by allowing wine shops and at the same time making propaganda for people to stop drinking. So Prabhupada is exposing the hypocrisy. They must at once close all the shops selling intoxicating drugs and wine and force punishment, even by death, for those who indulge in habits of intoxication of all descriptions. That is the way of stopping the activities of Kali as exhibited herein by Maharaj Parikshit, the Maharatha. I'll take one more verse. Tam jigma jigham shum abhipritya vihaya nripa lauchanam tatpadamulam shirasha samagad bhaya vivallaha. When the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the dress of a king and under pressure of fear completely surrendered to him, bowing his head. The royal dress of the personality of Kali is artificial. The royal dress is suitable for king or Kshatriya, but when a lower class man artificially dresses himself as a king, his real identity is disclosed by the challenge of a bona fide Kshatriya like Maharaj Parikshit. The real Kshatriya never surrenders. He accepts the challenge of his rival Kshatriya and he fights either to die or to win. Surrender is unknown to a real Kshatriya. In the age of Kali, there are so many pretenders dressing and posing as administrators or executive head. But their real identity is disclosed when they are challenged by the real Kshatriya. Therefore, when the artificially dressed personality of Kali saw that to fight Maharaj Parikshit was beyond his ability, he bowed down his head like a subordinate and gave up his royal dress. So we see how Maharaj Parikshit, we also read in Bhagavad Gita, that one who is a aggressor, Atatai, how he should be treated? He should be immediately punished. What is the best form of punishment? Is to kill him. And Maharaj Parikshit, he was prepared. He made up his mind to kill. Okay, so I'll stop here on this verse. And tomorrow Pranab Prabhu wants to present. Yes, Pranab?
Yes, bro. Tomorrow I'll present.
You'll present the 15th chapter?
Yes, bro. 15th chapter.
Okay. Who has the 16th chapter to present? Ramya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, you have to present 16th. 17th we are continuing. Who is been assigned 17th?
प्रभु जी मेरा है हरे कृष्ण
आपके लिए तो बड़ा इजी है, तो चल ही रहा है अभी। हरे कृष्ण, जब कंप्लीट हो जाएगा तभी आप करेंगे। Okay, any discussion? Very important verses. Prabhupada is giving so much of teachings, so much of observance, that what we have to observe if we really want to keep the influence of Kali minimal in our life. Hare Krishna. Yes, बोलिए दयाशील प्रभु।
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, nowadays we have the corruption, bribery, and one more thing Srila Prabhupada wrote that can be mitigated simply by propagation of this Bhagavad Dharma. Though the leaders they may not, they may have so many rules and regulations, but we don't see any much improvement in this bribery and corruption and all. But Srila Prabhupada is giving hope that if we simply accept this Bhagavad Dharma, beginning with the Brahminical culture of the four things, then it can be mitigated. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
No, what was that? What did you speak? This is a comment?
No, Prabhuji, this was the inspiration, Prabhuji. For
How many people in your life can you influence to give up to observe these four regulative principles? Tell me. How many have you influenced so far?
not yet, Prabhuji, not.
Then how it is simple? On what basis you are saying simply? You please try to understand the gravity of it. In today's world, if you tell people to give up the four regulative principles, they will say, then what is the life meant for? How will I enjoy? How can I, if I cannot engage in sense gratification, what is the meaning of life? So how to go about it? I am asking you. Simply by propagating the Bhagavad Dharma. For Bhagavad Dharma, these four principles are essential.
Slowly, slowly, people will accept.
What nonsense. First, we have to observe it very strictly.
Yes.
How much we are committed to do it. Where is our commitment and dedication? If we become sincere and committed to observe it, we'll be able to influence and convince others. How Prabhupada convinced? Just imagine, Prabhupada went to the West. You know, when I came to ISKCON first time, when I saw Russians, I was completely, I'm just sharing my heart with you, all of you. I was completely shocked. How can this race be so much transformed and changed? Because I was staying in Moscow. Day in and day out, they are breaking these four principles. Their life is only centered around breaking these four. There is rampant illicit sex. There is mass intoxication and indulgence in all this sinful activity. And when I came here and I saw the Russian people observing all this, I could not believe how this change has happened. How they can transform so much. It is like converting the color of coal from black to white. Can anyone do that? Can anyone convert the color of coal from black to white? This is miracle what Srila Prabhupada has done. How? By his potency of purity. Purity. So if we want to spread Bhagavad Dharma, we have to become pure. Impure person will not be able to do anything. How can he do anything? Because he will not have the potency. Krishna Shakti bina nahi tar pravartana. Pravartan is required. Transformation is required. Are you hearing, Deyashil?
Yes, Prabhuji.
This is what Prabhupada was saying, that these four principles must be observed. What does austerity means? That there is discomfort to the mind and body, but still we observe it. Otherwise, it has no meaning. So if we follow these four regulative principles strictly, rigidly, then the influence of Kali, all these aspects of pride, attraction to women, intoxication, and other evils can be minimized. Otherwise, in Kali Yuga, it is impossible. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Any other question? We have to remember, we have to first do Janma Sarthak. Janma Sarthak Kari, Kar Par Upkar. There cannot be Upkara or Par Upkara unless and until the Janma is Sarthak. सुन रहे हैं ना कुबेर जी? आई एम वेरी हैप्पी दैट यू आर हियरिंग, क्योंकि जब तक आप सुनेंगे नहीं तब तक आप जानेंगे ही नहीं कि करना क्या है। हम सबके साथ यही है। भागवत श्रवण करने से हमें पता चलेगा कि हमारी स्थिति क्या है। Hare Krishna. So I'm stopping here. It is getting late. So tomorrow we'll hear from Pranab Prabhu, and day after tomorrow we'll continue. And please continue to study. Open your books, study, revise your notes. Sometimes I see sadhana card of devotees. They are not on the same page. They are not on the same verse. They are flying in some other zone. Are if we can do justice to what we are studying, it will be great benefit for us. Don't study any other verse. Don't study any other book. At least now study what we are studying to get at least some little understanding. अभी चल रहा है 17वां अध्याय पहले स्कंद का, वो पढ़ रहे हैं कुछ और। इतनी कैपेसिटी है क्या कि 2-4 अध्याय एक साथ पढ़ सकते हैं? एक सिंपल प्रिंसिपल तो जीवन में अंदर पहुंचता नहीं है। ये क्या है? ये कली का प्रभाव है, तो कुछ करने नहीं देता, तो बचिए उसके प्रभाव से। और आप सब सवेरे आ रहे हैं चैंटिंग में। प्रणब, I have never seen you in the chanting club. Every day you are working or you are out?
Not every day, Prabhuji.
The days where you are in, why you are not joining?
Today I joined, Prabhuji.
Today I didn't check. But in between I keep checking who is joining when and what he is doing. It is for your own benefit. It is not for my benefit. Somehow some devotees were inspired to do it and they are doing. It is for the protection and welfare of all of us individually. If you will join, you will be able to complete your rounds in the morning session. Otherwise, the struggle continues. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari.